pull it up. Actually, that's going to be in the way. That move our chat all the way down here. We'll wait for people to start showing up, asking questions, and I think I left my phone in the other room, so that sucks. But 'tis not the end of the world. Let's go to the deck of tweets. All the while keeping the chat up so that people can. What's up, folks? Thanks for tuning in. If you're watching this after the fact. Oh, snap! My brother sent me a message um, on Twitter. That's pretty dope. Uh-oh. Oh no, that was. I was like, crap. That shouldn't be on here. It's weird too, because my what's going on my tweet deck is not syncing with what's going on my Twitter app, which is kind of troublesome. Wow, I'm reading this statement from one of my friends on Twitter. This is crazy. All right, so we do have a topic today. I'm going to wait for everybody to kind of filter in, and let me make sure I made today's stream public because YouTube loves to not do that, and of course it didn't. Freaking YouTube. All right, let's get this right. So hopefully, if I make this change off the break, it will now make it public to all of you guys. Let's double check it and see. Otherwise, I'm going to be the only one watching it. Yeah, all right, now we're good. Now we are good. All right, now back to here, back to the pop-up chat, and I'm trying to read this statement. So, welcome, friends. Sorry for the delay. I was basically talking to myself for the first 2 minutes of this video because YouTube decided that the best way to default a live stream is to make it unlisted. Somehow, they thought that was a good idea. Of course, it's in my default setting, so it's my fault. I accept that. All right, now I'm reading a statement here from one of my friends on Twitter that says, so I guess I should read what I wrote first, and then we'll get into what he said. Nigel, what's up, man? Good to see you. I basically tweeted out in a more, and I had to paraphrase it because I didn't think Twitter would give me enough space to write it all, but I said, in a more divided society where division of labor into unequally important functions enlarges natural inequality of men, communism breaks down because it provides no incentive for the exertion of superior abilities. Let's see. Rimu Mamari, and please correct me if I mispronounce your name. I know a lot of people follow me from overseas, and as much as I try to do my best to understand pronunciations in different cultures, there's no way I can keep up with all of it. So if I mispronounce it, just correct me. We'll get it right from there on out. Rimu says, I saw the title and was like, is it actually killing me? Depends on how you look at it, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Some of what I'm watching on the internet and a lot of you that I've spoken to and helped, and I can only hang out with you guys for a little bit here because I do have to go to a doctor's appointment today. But that's cool. I'll hang out with you guys as long as I can. Jonas98 says, what's up? What's up, Jonas? Fatima says, you have around 12 viewers here. Excellent. I'm glad to hear that. I can't see how many viewers I have because I'm on Twitter. But the statement that I read that I wrote on Twitter again said, in a more divided society where division of labor into unequally important functions enlarges natural inequality of men, communism breaks down because it provides no incentive for the exertion of superior abilities. Hey, greetings from Finland. Peyton does hair. Sweet. Our brain does not give a crap about our best interests or well-being. Going through the battle, RN. You are definitely on the trail. Definitely on the trail. Fatima says, "Hey, thanks for your wonderful videos. Hey, I'm honored to have done them and that you all watch them." Ramakrishna says, "Hi there." Rimu says, "From Morocco." Hey, I have a friend from Morocco that one of my neighbors, man, real cool dude. Really enjoyed it. It was funny when I spoke to him, like the first time I met him, he's like, "What is wrong with you Americans? You're all soft." I said, "You ain't getting no argument out of me, brother." I've been saying that for years. Let's see. Ramuz says, "From Morocco, friend," and the pronunciation was okay. Okay, sweet. So I made that comment about communism, and then a friend of mine said most people don't work over here in the UK. The government pays them too much to sit at home and do nothing. Those that do work get paid less because they're all self-employed. Why? Because minimum wage is ludicrously high to the point that businesses can't afford staff. That's really weird. I don't know if his statement is true across the board. I know some of the entrepreneurs I've talked to over there, that doesn't sound accurate across the whole UK, but maybe in his case that is true, and it's very, very interesting. And we've got someone here from the UK who can probably speak to that. But today's topic, I know the title was kind of clickbaity, if you will. Here's my take on clickbait. Everything's clickbait. What matters isn't what's in the title. It's if when you get to whatever thing you clicked on, do you actually get value out of what you clicked on, right? Did you get something that was worth the click? That's the only time I think quote unquote clickbait is bad, is when someone's making you click on something that doesn't actually add value to your life in the way that you're expecting. Or maybe not, because what I'm going to share with you today is probably not what you're expecting. But it certainly will add value to you as a person. And I think if you take away what we're going to talk about here today, which is kind of a follow-on to last night's discussion about, do you know your purpose in life? Do you know why you're here on this earth? And if you don't, do you know how to find that purpose? And it kind of led into, I've been talking about this private coaching program that I just recently shut down. I worked with about 400 people over the last 4 years. And then I let 10 people into like a really special, more expensive, very, very intimate coaching program that now I'm at a place where that's finished. I've walked away from that so that I can focus on my health. But I'm in the process of packaging it so that I can sell it at a much cheaper rate to folks who just want to consume the content. You don't get access to me coaching you, but you do have access to me coaching other people. And I guarantee you someone in the group definitely has a story very similar to yours. We are not altogether that different. Lori Sampson says, first time watching you live. Well, thank you, Lori. Melanie, hey, Melanie, what's up? Good to see you. Ramakrishna says from the UK, Sojourner Fathoms, message was retracted. Oh, no, what did they say? Ramakrishna says 9 to 5 work in the UK is not that attractive. The longer you work in a company, the less you are worth. The only way to make any money is to just play one employer again. Wow, that is so like weird to think about, that you gotta, and it's not that that doesn't exist here, especially if you do a job in the United States that's highly sought after. You can pit him, like employees will bid. I mean, there's cats, if you come out of, let's say, Carnegie Mellon with a machine learning like PhD in machine learning, you can make probably $300,000 a year easy, depending on, if it's Microsoft or Amazon or somewhere where you're going to work. And that's obviously the higher end, right? No, not everybody walks out with that type of salary. I'm just saying that's in the realm of possible, right? So, so that quote that I quoted from Twitter actually came from the book that I'm holding up in the thumbnail of this video, which is The Story of Philosophy by Will Durant. And that quote's not mine. Most of the quotes I put on Twitter are not mine. I'm not smart enough to come up with that type of stuff. It was actually from Aristotle, and it was his take on politics, right? And he was what we today would call a conservative. Although today conservatives are usually associated with religious people, people who are pro-life, people who are against gay marriage, things like that. But most actual conservatives that I know don't care about those issues. They're like, no, we care about actually properly caring for our economy and the people in a way where we don't, not we, but where they don't necessarily want to intrude on the personal social lives of other people. At least the conservatives that I know personally. And I do know some conservatives that are very much, I'm pro-life, I'm this, I'm that, which is cool, you're right. But he's more looking at conservatism from the standpoint of economics more so than social issues. That I think a lot of conservatives and independents would say that these things shouldn't even be political issues. We shouldn't have politicians arguing about that. We should be able to figure it out ourselves. He talks about money too, and how one of the worst things in the world is usury. In other words, someone lending you money at interest, and then the money makes money for the lender. Very interesting dude. But I posted that on Twitter. One of my kind of focus is when I create content anywhere, is to put something out there that's going to make you think. Now, I know that doesn't win any popularity contests because most people don't want to think. Uh, Not because you're not smart, not because you lack intelligence, not because there's something wrong with you, but because you use a lot of your brain power every day just to go through your daily life, whether it's raising children, whether it's going to work, whether it's dealing with the day-to-day things that life brings you. That requires a certain amount of energy from your brain. So then to come across something I wrote on Twitter that you have to read twice to even understand, what did this sentence even say? Our brains are not naturally wired for that. And that's, Jesus, I hope that's not my kids breaking something. Our brains are not naturally wired for that. So we have to, if you want to excel, if you want to progress, you have to rewire your brain, which is what really the title of this video is about, the quote unquote clickbait, which I have no problem with clickbait, like I said, as long as the clickbait gets me to click on something that adds value to my life. Because at the end of the day, friends, we're all vying for some type of attention. If I just make some mundane pedestrian title, no one's clicking on that. But if you make a title that actually gets attention, people are inclined to complain. I find people don't complain if they click on it and then they actually get like, wow, wasn't expecting that. That was actually really good. No one complains about clickbait when it's not just empty, let's talk about, Tiger Woods's or Kevin Hart's or whoever's sexual exploits, like digging into people's personal lives that are none of our business, right? So Sojourner says, my message was nothing, really. I just typed in the wrong text field. Cool. So this idea that, I posted that on Twitter, and a lot of times I post things and I think people think it's my ideas or it's my, philosophy. And like I said, I'm not that smart. I am smart enough to know that I'm dumb enough that I need to get into the minds of people way smarter than me who, lived a lot of life and lived a lot of time on earth observing other people and circumstances in life that they can speak to way more intelligently than I can. Right? That's where my intelligence comes from. It's from knowing that I'm stupid enough that I need to be around other smarter people to learn from. But that ties into this idea that your mind is killing you. I think that's what I call it. What I call it, your mind is killing you. And I don't mean that necessarily literally. I think in some cases that's true for some people, right? Like if you took some of the mental health issues that I've fought with, depression, anxiety, PTSD, those things in extreme could certainly get a person to the point where it could kill them, I'm hopefully not at that stage, evidenced by the fact that I'm still alive. But uh, this idea that I post things that force people, if they want to engage with it, you're going to be forced to really put some thought into it. And what I find is I'll post something that's pretty profound, even if it's very short. And what I call one-dimensional thinkers, which is a real nice way to say simple-minded people, will start to argue a very one-sided kind of black and white. This is wrong because this, and it's like, okay, have you looked at these other 9 layers of the situation before you drew that conclusion in 30 seconds of reading my Instagram post or my Twitter post, right? So it's one of the things I'm working to combat is that one-dimensional thinking. The problem with trying to combat one-dimensional thinking is it takes the will of you, the viewer, to overcome that natural sense of my brain is already burning energy in the form of glycogen, if you want to get specific, to just exist. And now you're asking me to pay attention to this hyper deep philosophical mumbo jumbo when I just want to veg out and watch Game of Thrones. And while I'm never against people having entertainment, because I think entertainment is a valuable part of life. If you hung out after last night's hangout, I went and played PlayStation 4. I played Horizon Zero Dawn, and I think overall about 10 people ended up watching it. And we had a good time. We had a good talk. I had one guy who was actually helping me play through the game. I think that's necessary, right? In fact, my doctor told me one of the things you need to do more of is less working and less striving and less ambition, and you need to just sit back, read books, play some video games, and you need to chill, basically, is one of the things my doctor told me in terms of my recovery. So it's like, okay, I'll just chill, I guess, which is not something I do easily because I am very ambitious. All right. But you have to rewire your mind to be able to want to engage. It's just like going to the gym. Most people, the kind of the laws of inertia state that an object at rest wants to remain at rest unless acted upon by some outside force, right? or an object in motion wants to stay in motion except acted upon by an outside force. In this term, in this situation, gravity would stop a train that wasn't constantly pushing on the gas. Gravity would eventually bring it to a halt, and the air resistance, right? So that's the way our brains and our bodies work. Like, we don't want to get up and go to the gym, or we make a New Year's resolution that we end up breaking because you were trying to break your body out of probably years of inertia of, I just want to come sit on ass and watch Game of Thrones or watch Breaking Bad or whatever it is. Right? And so people will then come to me when they want coaching or mentorship and say, "Oh, I'm not motivated. Motivation is not your problem." "Oh, I lack discipline." Yes, that's true, but you have a bigger problem. Your issue is that you're inconsistent. And if you ever want to have discipline or motivation, you first have to have desire. You have to want something bad enough, or want to not have something bad enough to get up off the couch consistently to make it happen, right? So, like, for example, I typically, when I eat, the closest thing you can relate it to is like the keto diet, right? Uh, the I stay on that because I know I have a photo shoot coming up in a couple of months that I would like to be sexy for, because it's going to be a huge part of our rebranding my brand, right? And I want to be squared away for that because I want to present the best image that I can. So I have this internal desire. Now, I'm already pretty motivated and have a high motor. So I'm a little bit, genetically, I'm different from most people, right? Like, I'm ambitious. I have a ton of tenacity, a ton of resilience. So it's easier for me to get up and go to the gym and be consistent with it than maybe your average person, just genetically, right? I raise my hand and say I won the genetic lottery in that case. Sorry, it's not fair. That's Earth, right? That's life in the universe. But at the same time, you can develop those types of consistencies and disciplines. The same thing is true for the mind. And one of the things I've constantly worked to do, and we talked about this in depth last night with one of the guys that I've been friends with on YouTube for a lot of years, back when I was still doing entertainment, is where I met him. And he was just talking about the discouragement of creating content. I said, you have to get past the point of worrying about how many people watch this video. That video I shot last night, I have been in coaching programs where the people creating that content would have charged you $500 to tell you that stuff, right? And I'm not lying to you. Like, I've paid for these coaching programs. In fact, I've paid thousands of dollars for coaching programs. Now, would it have just been that one video? Probably not. Would have been some more videos, but there wasn't much more you were going to learn than some of the topics we discussed, right? So I was saying, you have to get to the point where you aren't worried about the viewers, right? If you're discouraged, you have to understand what your purpose is. So I know going in, like, 300 people watched that video. It's worth hundreds of thousands of people watching the video in terms of how helpful some of the things we discussed, like overcoming fear, overcoming procrastination, overcoming the fear of failure and rejection, right? Things that I've struggled with immensely in my life. So those things are very valuable, but those aren't the things people necessarily want to consume, especially if I'm not creating it in some way that's very entertaining and energetic, that can keep someone's attention without them having to exert a lot of mental energy. And that's what I mean by the mind is trying to kill us. It's the mind doesn't want to work. Your mind is wired to survive, and a part of that survival is conserving energy. So I'm not going to go watch this 2.5 hour video from Brian that certainly could help my life, but the investment's too big, because I can't tell you how many people would come in the comments of videos I created in the past and say, "Oh, dude, I don't have 2.5 hours to watch this video." I'm like, then don't watch it. You're not my target audience. My target audience are the people who are like, you're not hungry, desperate, or desiring anything enough to come spend 2.5 hours. I watched a Tony Robbins video that was 6 hours long. Right? I didn't listen to it in one sitting because I couldn't, but I came back to it, and chopped it apart until I was done. And matter of fact, I went back and listened to it like maybe one or two more times, right? Just to get immersed in the things that I was learning from Tony. And that's my target audience. And I accept the fact that about 400 to 1,200 of you are going to be willing to do that out of the 30, actually out of about, if you go across all my social media, out of about the 50,000 plus people that follow me, right? And the millions that have seen me. So you have to understand that your mind is wired for survival. And so people talk about being unhappy or being, upset and depressed, and it's because your brain is wired to keep you alive, not make you happy. And the things that make you happy require you to go against what your body and your mind are wired to do. Right? Happiness is not congruent with survival. It's just not. The things that help you survive are not the things in the modern world. If this was 10,000 years ago, first of all, I wouldn't be on YouTube talking to you. I'd be out hunting with my kids. But if this was 10,000 years ago, nothing I'm saying would be true. But in today's world, we live with what's called an evolutionary mismatch, where we still behave like it's 10,000 years ago, but we have more access to resource and technology than we ever have. But our brains just haven't evolved fast enough to keep up with that. So your brains are working against you, and that the things that will actually help you get to where you want to go seem hard and seem arduous and seem boring and seem fill in the blanks. And like I said, like I was encouraging my friend last night, you have to know I'm in the game for the 1,200 people who will actually watch. The 13 of you, I don't know, I think it ended up being 100 people came by last night. The 100 people who will actually come and sit through 2 hours of me talking. I won't be talking for 2 hours today because I got to get ready to go here in about an hour. But the people who will do that are often my target audience. The people who live in one-dimensional thinking and want to argue things from a very specific perspective, but they're not looking at the whole picture. They're just not my audience. Not yet. Maybe one day they'll go out and they'll get more, knowledge. They'll get more wisdom from someone else, and then they'll be able to come back with a more open mind and be like, oh, this is what he was talking about. But if you want to win, if you want to succeed, so many people last night were talking about overcoming anxiety. I've dealt with that, right? People were talking about overcoming the judgment of others, overcoming their own self-doubt, like how, or even understanding your life's purpose. Like, how do we actually do that? And I wouldn't insult you by trying to say I could sum that up in a 2-hour video. It's taken me roughly 22 hours of coaching my private students, 22 hours of coaching, which by the end will be over 30 hours of coaching once all of it's released to them. It's taken me 30 hours just to get them from, okay, I have no idea what to do with my life, or I have some idea, but then how do we refine that? How do we solidify it? And then, okay, what is the actual path to getting to it, including removing the fear and the anxiety and those things in your mind that limit you, the fear of judgment of others, replacing that with the positive thinking, the right thing. I don't like to call it positive because then that sounds like it's just believe. Yeah. No, replacing it with the right type of thinking that actually helps you go forward and not hold you back. And then what does the execution look like? Like one of the videos we have in the program is called, Are You a Laborer, a Freelancer, or an Entrepreneur? And I'll tell you, Peter Drucker said in one of my favorite books that most people think they know what they're good at, and most people are wrong. So you got this whole generation of people right now that think they're entrepreneurs. I'm working with 2 ladies right now, not people that I coach, just people in my life who think they're entrepreneurs. And when you listen to them talk, it's like, no, you are not. You're going to go out there and start a business and get punched in the mouth and realize very quickly you are not. You are an artist who needs to partner with an entrepreneur, so that if you want to turn your art into business, you need to have, a person like me or someone, that's more entrepreneurial help you with the business side of it, because you're not thinking about the business, you're thinking about enjoying your art. And that's something like my wife. My wife is not an entrepreneur. She's very creative. She's more of a creative freelancer, right? Where she ran a business for a while and she did it fairly well, but she struggled with the business aspect of it, like even being able to price her products appropriately so that the business could thrive. And even my mentor kind of sat her down and was like, I don't know if this is going to be scalable and viable long term. Like if I was investing in your business, I probably wouldn't do it. But it's one of those, the video is helping you understand like which one of those 3 are you. And in our course, we have all 3. Now, most of the people in my course are freelancers. We have a handful of entrepreneurs. And then we have one or 2 people who are like, yeah, I'm a laborer. Like, I just want to get better at working for other people. I don't have a desire to work alone or to build my own business. I just want to become the best worker that I can be. And that's fine. We live in a world that's put this entrepreneurialism on a pedestal, and now everybody thinks they need to be a business owner. And it's like, dude, do you understand what, like, being a business owner is basically signing up to get your hands tied behind your back and letting people just punch you in the mouth with no, and they're right. They punch you in the mouth and then they're right for doing it. And if you don't have the the jaw to take that type of beating, to be that type of gladiator, then it's just not for you. You may be more of a freelancer who wants to do work for hire. But then we help the freelancers understand, okay, how do we focus your desire to be more free, to have more control over your schedule, but to also do work that you enjoy so that you don't have to go work at, whatever thing you have to go work at. So the mind is where all that stuff starts. And if you don't get control of that from the beginning, then, you're going to be at a loss. So going back to the example of my friend, I was telling him, I said, you have to decide who you're playing the game for. Like, do you want to get millions of views and, add a little bit of value to people's lives because they got 10, 15 minutes of entertainment from you that didn't really contribute much? And that's not to say that a laugh isn't important. One of the things I consume when you look at entertainment the most is stand-up comedy, because it's great for someone that has like some of the mental health challenges I have. To laugh is very healthy. Uh, but it's it's fleeting, right? Like, I get way more out of Joe Rogan's podcast with Neil deGrasse Tyson or Jordan Peterson, or fill in the blank with other people's names I can't remember off the top of my head. I get way more out of those discussions than I do from his Strange Times stand up, even though his Strange Times stand up was hilarious to me. Right? So those are the things that you have to really think through. Your mind is not wired. All those things I just told you about with my private students, right? It, they come to grips with, oh, the way I've been thinking about going about these things isn't really, it's not wrong or bad, it's just not effective for the outcome they wanted. Like, one of the guys I've worked with for years actually became one of my, he joined our team, and he and I have met almost weekly. Just we're walking him through some of the mindsets. I mean, you guys wouldn't believe if you went through like a mental health course, or like like understanding just the limiting beliefs you have within you that you may not be aware of. Working with my doctors for the last couple of months, I got hit in the face with, you're dealing with this and this and this, and I didn't even know it. Like, I was so focused on helping people and trying to make the world a better place that I was, decaying myself, and I didn't even notice it. And so once you become aware of those things, then you can address them. And then it's valuable to have a coach who can walk you through that. The challenge is it's hard to find a coach in real life who has time and is a good enough person to help you. Uh, Paying people to do it becomes a pain because there's so many courses out there, and I won't name any because I've been in a lot of people's courses. Um, some of them I kind of giggled at, like, really? I'm paying $197 a month for, like, I literally could have Googled that. And in fact, that particular person was teaching me stuff that I already knew. And like, not that I just had head knowledge, like I was already doing a lot of the things he was teaching. But I'm willing to learn from anybody. And one of the things I learned with online courses is that most of them, at least the ones I've seen, are designed to get you in the program, give you a little taste of something, and then, oh, if you want the hyper duty, and it's sales 101, guys. It's just like if a vacuum cleaner salesman comes to your house, he'll start with a basic vacuum, and then he or she will upsell you to the magic vacuum that, takes your kids to school and cooks dinner and all this other stuff. Um, but a lot of the programs that I've seen start with this basic level, and I mean basic level. I remember one program I paid like $1,000 or $2,000 for, and that was just the basic level. And then to get to the next level, it was like $10,000, which isn't unheard of. I almost joined a program that was only 4 days long. That was $20,000, because I believed in the coach, right? Like, what he was selling, I knew was legit. At the time, we just didn't have the disposable income to drop 20 G's when we were still, still in the building phase with our business and stuff, right? So, but the problem with like, I would definitely trust that person with that much money, but there's very few other courses I've been through where I'm like, yeah, that was worth every dollar I spent, right? Because a lot of the things I already knew, especially, me being a battlefield leader and a combatant, I learned a lot of mindset stuff. Um, I learned a lot of mindset stuff in my, early 20s, as a leader in combat, that a lot of these programs don't even teach. Right. And so what we set out to do with our stuff was, all right, we're going to help people. Let's give away 99% of it. Like, let's give away the best stuff. And then what we'll charge for, because that's fair, is that hands-on, okay, now all that stuff I just told you, here's how you personally apply it to your life. Right? Here is the personal blueprint. Not some, like, if you look at my 69 pillars of success program, it's an amazing program, right? I could easily, rightfully, justifiably charge $200 to $400 for the information that's in there if you compare it to what's on the market, right? I don't. At first, I was going to charge for it, and I was like, no, we're giving this away. We're going to give some of the best mindset coaching that I have away. And then what that does is, if one day I do create like the program we're putting together now, that I'm taking all this stuff that I've been teaching my private, the people that I've taught in private, we're packaging that to sell. What we're selling is, okay, all those things we taught you in the 69 pillars and in the confidence course, here's how you actually take it and practically, tactically apply it, right? And here's, like if you look at the 5 pillars of self-awareness video that's in the 69 pillars of success, there's a follow-on video to that in my coaching program where we do a deep dive into each pillar for the people who are there on the call. And so what that helps them do is wrap their head around personally, okay, the 4th pillar is finding out what I'm actually good at. And then you help an actual human soul figure out specifically what they're good at. I'm okay with charging for that. And in fact, I get yelled at regularly by customers and by people on my team, to include my accountant once upon a time, that I don't charge enough, right? But guys, that's on purpose. Like, I don't charge enough so that one day you look back and it's like, yo, I paid that dude, $200, or arbitrary numbers, right? I paid that dude $200 for this crazy 100-hour program that demolished all these other $1,000 and $4,000 and $10,000. So who wins at the end of that? Do I make less money? Yeah, I don't make $100 million on a program like some of these other cats do. But then my reputation 10 years from now is, oh, that's the dude that was out helping everybody for free while everyone else was trying to cash in on our ignorance. Right? And I'm not talking about stupidity. I mean the lack of knowledge. Right? That's what people cash in on. I mean, even Warren Buffett says, if it wasn't for the ignorance of other people, I would not be as wealthy as I am. And I just decided I'm not going to cash in on people's ignorance. I'm going to help you fix the ignorance. Where we'll make ours is by actually helping you apply it. Right? So that goes back to the mindset piece too, that you have to have. So there's a certain level of willingness, because I'm not going to take pictures with bikini models and Ferraris and mansions and try to say, hey, here's the thing I did that got me this house, right? Because if I did a video like that, it would first start with, yo, a heaping helping of the grace of God that I wasn't born in some country where my family was being threatened to be raped if they didn't join the war. Like, I was born in America. Let's start there. Let's start with, yeah, there's a lot of things I didn't do to get, like, even the blessings I have right now. Like, I live a really, really blessed life despite some of the health challenges I've had. I'm doing, like, really, really well, right? But guys, I'm not saying it's luck. I'm just saying I put in a ton of work, but there's a lot of grace of God built into that that's out of my control. So to get up here and tell you that there's this exact path that I took, there is no exact path, right? There is no, here's the cookie cutter thing that you can apply and make $1 million every time. Because even if I gave you the cookie cutter, it would take a lot of practice for you to get it right. And so going back to the original point, my thought was, okay, we're not going to do the bikinis and private jets and Ferraris. And by the way, I'm not criticizing the people that do that, because some of those folks actually help a lot of people. Some of them don't. I've had people come through my program and be like, yo, have you heard of so-and-so? Like, yeah, I've heard of so-and-so. Yo, they just charged me freaking $30,000 to go through this course that, your marketing course, back when we used to sell the marketing course, was, I think, $400 or $500. He's like, your marketing course taught me more than that $30,000 nonsense. And I said, that's, what's cool about that is that, again, 10 years from now, people are going to remember that. The word gets out about this cat, right? And then who's the winner? The guy that made, yeah, did he make $100 million off of people not knowing better back in the day? Yeah, but now nobody wants to work with that dude, right? The dude that's out here helping people and actually helping people. And I'm telling you that not to toot my own horn or praise myself because I'm not worth that. It's to give you, like, I'm leading by example, hoping that, like, I have a in my marketing course, which again is a part of the package deal that we're putting together. There's a video I have in there that talks about how to keep customers forever, and it's a psychology course that's actually taken from evolutionary psychology. And there's that video, and there's one other one about persuasion, where I tell people at the beginning of the video, we're connected now. I know who you are. If I ever see you out in the wild taking advantage of customers with the stuff I'm about to show you, I will frickin' expose you. Like, I will decimate you if I find out that you use the stuff that I taught you here to go take advantage of other people, because that's not what this is for. This is for helping people. And the book that I even cited some of the stuff out of talked about examples like Starbucks where they used it to take advantage of people, and it backfired big time. I'm like, first of all, I won't have to decimate you because your customers will. In a world where everything is like everyone knows everything, you're not going to get away with it, right? So going back to knowing who you are, knowing your audience, the example with my friend, I said you got to know what you're playing the game for, right? You have to know what winning is to you. Now, I don't get to tell you that. I don't get to tell you that success is fill in the blank. That one, I'm not. I have no authority, and I don't have the right to tell you that. That's something that's between you and your higher power, should you have one. Right? And you got to determine what that is, and it has to be something that you want bad enough that you're willing to sit here and listen to a 2-hour video of somebody talking, right? And not just somebody talking, but somebody teaching you things. Like, I've been telling my students for the better part of 2 years, go watch interviews with comedians. Comedians are the closest thing to entrepreneurs and freelancers in the world because the job is so hard to get good at. Like, you just get to see the finished product when they do the Netflix special. You don't see the steps these people have to take for 10, sometimes 20 years before you even know who they are. They have to work so hard, right? And they will tell, like, on the interview, they'll tell you their secret for how they did a certain thing, and it's like, oh dang, I can apply that same knowledge, right? So that's kind of why I had the internet and stuff pulled up here too. This is something that you definitely need to take the time and watch. um, hey, Stephen Blanton, what's up, brother? uh, let's see, let's take some comments before we get further down the road. Fatima says, that was so me while trying to do some serious business. I hope my kid's not trying to break something. Ramakrishna says, rewiring your brain is not the best interest of a hierarchical society where the majority of money is made by the many who benefit from the few. Clickbait keeps everyone's energy dissipated. Yeah, so, you'll notice that the more educated we get, and this is why it's funny, because we'll blame society, we'll blame politicians, we'll blame the people in power, but then we won't do anything about it. Like, anytime I hear my friends or people criticizing politicians, I'm like, you understand that the politicians are just doing whatever it takes to get them elected. And if they're doing something stupid in your sight, it's because that stupidity gets them elected, right? They're just an extension of us, guys. Like, they're not, and I'm not talking about any particular party. They're just an extension of us. When we get better and we get smarter and we get more educated and we put up with less, and we stop putting so much of the onus on our government to take care of us instead of provide services that we can't do on our own and shouldn't do on our own, like the military and the fire department, state and, federal government level, then the politicians have to be better, because then they can't get elected. I watched, actually, I don't know, whatever your politics is, then it's not really material. But I watched John Kerry go through that when he was going through his campaign. One of the challenges I saw that he had was he was trying to take these very nuanced ideas, like, define marriage. Is it between a man and a woman? Like, is it really that simple? You can just black and white say that. The politicians who win make it a black, yes, it's between a man and a woman. Check. What's for lunch? Well, how do you define marriage, first of all? Like, and are you talking about legal marriage, or are you talking about spiritual marriage? And if you're talking about spiritual marriage, which spiritual system are you talking about? Because there's a lot of them, right? It's not an easy question to answer, but the politicians who tend to win are the ones that just make it overly simple. Why? Because our brains have something called heuristics, and they like simple black and white answers to things, so we don't have to think hard. So we like the person that's just direct and simple. versus the person who's trying to give you this very nuanced answer, but then he gets accused of, oh, he's wishy-washy and he's back. No, he's trying to answer a really hard question, and we're too stupid to stupid's not the right word. We're too simple-minded and one-dimensional in our thinking to understand this is a more complicated issue than we're making it on this political platform. Not even to mention whether or not this should be a political issue, right? So that's what you'll find in people that have, like, I watched him struggle because he's trying to handle something very intelligently and then not realizing, oh, people are being simple-minded about, people are thinking about this one-dimensionally. I just need to make my answer whatever the thing is that gets me elected. And the best politicians do that. Whether they agree with it or not is irrelevant. I watched Sarah Palin get on one end and say she was pro-life, but then when you listen to how she would execute it, it was very much pro-choice. And it was smart for her to do it that way. It was very smart because she's got to say pro-life to the people that want to vote for her. But the truth is she was very much pro-choice in her execution. So now I'm basing that on what she's saying. God only knows what she believes in real life. She could come on the show and be like, that's wrong. I'm like, hey, I'll take your word for it. The point is she was very smart to make a black and white answer versus trying to give this, like, I got yelled at for years about my content about copyrights on YouTube when I was helping all these people. They couldn't understand that copyrights is a very complicated issue. Like, I'd have people screaming in my comments, just tell me if I can make a Call of Duty video. Here's what I'm going to tell you. Just delete your YouTube channel. Because if you're that simple-minded and not willing to understand more complex issues, I can guarantee you your biggest issue right now is not monetizing videos. It's that you're very one-dimensional in your thinking, which in some ways kind of helps people. But there's usually very few dumb people who are violently successful. Right? It's just not like you look at a person like PewDiePie who plays a dumb person on camera. That dude is nowhere near dumb. You sit down and talk to him, it's an intelligent dude. Right. So you got to think about those things. Remove says, I am always amazed at how ENTJ can articulate their speech. I've had a hard time organizing my thoughts. Well, I've also had, I mean, you could say that's ENTJ. Some of that's probably genetic, right? But a lot of it's practice, right? I've been doing public speaking. I mean, I've been writing speeches for my father I started at the age of 14. I used to help my dad write his speeches, right? Then I started doing public speaking by the time I was 17. I had a lot of practice to get up here and talk in front of people and to organize my thoughts. Yeah, I think some of that's probably genetic, some of it's probably personality, but some of it's just a hell of a lot of practice, man. Chocolate My World says, hello, what up? Achtung, or attention in German. I know I pronounced that wrong. Good to see you, bro. This stream is from above. Creepy on-spot topic. Yeah, man. Sojourner Fathom says, is it genetics that gets you to be motivated, etc., or is it subconscious programming through past experience? So it's a number of things, right? Yes, genetically, I have a higher motor than most. I am driven and more resilient than most people, period. And I'll be honest with you, the things I've seen in my life, like the bad stuff, like the dark stuff that I will talk about down the road when I start doing my podcast, and then that'll eventually turn into podcast videos here on YouTube. And when you hear some of the places I've been, you'd be like, how is this dude holding it together? And it's because genetically, I just, if I didn't have the resilience I have no doubt I'd probably be like in a home and I'm not making fun of people that are going through that. That's a nightmare. In fact, I have family that are in that situation, but save the resilience that God blessed me with, I don't think I would have been able to stand up against a lot of the stuff that I experienced all the way up through combat, right? So yeah, some of that's genetics. Some of it is I also have very, very strong desires in my life that say, no, you got to get your lazy ass out of bed and do a push-up, dude. You got to do it, right? Because I have these extrinsic motivators that are my desires and things that I want. So that means I need to read more books than you guys do. If I'm going to teach, I'm going to reach 1 billion people and change lives, I can't do that sitting around watching Game of Thrones like the average person. I got to spend hours every day reading books. I got to spend an hour every day reading, right? That's how I get through 3 books a week a lot of times. You can see over here, actually you can't because you're looking at my internet screen, but I don't know if on camera you can see this book riveted here. I've started going back through that because I've been doing some communication with folks online. I wanted to get the messaging right and stuff. So, and yes, past experiences can certainly play a part, especially if you're dealing like with me with either physical health or mental health challenges where, like I had deep seated depression that I didn't know was there. I mean, I couldn't get out of bed some days. Like when you hear people tell those stories, it sounds weird if you've never experienced it, but if you have, it's like. And by the way, I thought I was just going through what normal people go through. That's how crazy it was for me. Right. So some of that can be genetics, but some of it can be circumstance, and some of it can be your environment. So you want to check all the above. Is talk. What's up, man? 69 pillars is the three rings, man. I appreciate that. Hey, Raven, good to see you. Very good to see Raven. Lots going on, baby's boy's life. I know that story. Danaka Rogers says, I feel like I'm so worried about starting something that I end up starting nothing. Okay, that's a great place to start in the context of today's discussion. Walk me through what you're actually worried about. And I get that that's maybe a tough question, but let's start at the surface. What are you worried about in starting? So you want to start something, but you're worried. Can you describe that worry for me? Tell me what's worrying you. And don't try to have the right answer if you don't know exactly. Just have an answer and we'll work it out. And this is like, for example, this is a lot of what I do in coaching is I don't know the answer to your challenge, but I know how to get you to walk through it. I know how to get you into a place where you can figure out at least either the answer or an answer that gets you a little bit further down the road. All right. So for those of you who are interested in getting into my private program, which by the way, uh, I haven't officially launched it yet. I'm only talking about it with my core audience that actually watches videos like this or looks at my community posts or follows me on Facebook or is on my mailing list. It's the only places I've talked about it. Like I haven't created like a marketing video and run ads to show it to people. Uh, should you be interested in that, because it's still early and I haven't officially launched it, have made it so stupidly cheap that like my wife's like, really? That price? That's the price? You're gonna give it away that cheap? I said, yeah, I'm basically gonna give it away. So if you're interested, we need to talk because once I launch it, it's not going to be that. So, and I can't tell you how many. I had a guy who joined the program when it was $2,000 to join, right? Uh, and he had the money. It wasn't the issue. But like he was kicking himself. He was just like, dude, I've known you for like 6 years. I should have done this 4 years ago when this was $5 a month when you were just starting it, right? And so I don't want that to be you. Like if you think you can get, and trust me, you can get some value out of what I'm doing here. Like I had one guy say, all the stuff you talk about for free, what in God's name are you selling? Like what else is there to say? I said the rabbit hole goes deep, man. And that's the thing. A lot of these other people want to sell you the stuff that I'm telling you for free and then upsell you. Dude, I know programs that are $100,000 a year. And I'm not saying that they're not valuable because I know people in those. I'm not in those programs, but I know people who are, and they say, yeah, it's cool. Like the biggest thing they get out of it is networking, for their business, and it's worth it because they make their money back. So I'm not saying these people are robbing you. I'm just saying we could do better. Like I don't need to win at your expense. I think we both need to win. That's kind of my philosophy. All right, let's see. Danaka Rogers says commitment issues or committing to one thing. Okay, so why are you afraid? Oh, well, first of all, before we get into why you're afraid of that, why do you have to commit to one thing? Help me understand why you feel that way. Steven says, yep, for me, it's the same, Tanaka, as well as intimidation from the amount of stuff that needs to be done. Raven says, Brian's programs are super amazing. Oh, thank you. And he always has the time to go through anything you need him to, as deep as you need him to. Thank you, Raven. That's a blessing to hear. Uh, Steven says, I've been able to get over some of that challenge. Yes, you have. I've watched you, man. You've been getting after it. Which, congratulations on Storyfire, brother. Well done. All right. Anybody else that has questions can start to chime in too, but we'll wait for Danaka to come back with why she feels she needs to commit to one thing. Because I don't know anybody in life that just commits. Oh, I'm leading the audience. Let her get through it. But going back to your mind is killing you, really the heart of that discussion. And then I just want to open up the floor for you all to ask questions or make comments because I got to get ready to go here in a couple of minutes. Uh, Basil Akkad says, hello, Mr. Chambers. Greeting from UAE. Greetings. Basel or Basel? Please correct me on how to say your names. Fatima says that after putting in a few months into it, I'll feel stuck. Okay, so it looks like Fatima has the same challenge. I'll feel stuck, be it in terms of investment, time, energy, losing interest, doubting returns, um, just to name a few. Well, the demons have a long list. So I really wish you guys followed me on Facebook because I post content regularly that addresses those issues. And it would take you 30 seconds to consume it and get the point. In this case, Seth Godin talked about the price of doing it and screwing it up is always, listen to me, I've experienced this more times in my life than I care to admit. The price of doing it wrong and screwing it up is always lower than the price of doing nothing. Always. Guys, I don't know what world, I don't know who mentally effed you in your life that you think every endeavor you need to do has to have this level of perfection that you're just going to have this polished thing that works out perfect. Like nobody does that. That doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. My first business deal, I made $300 on God knows how many hours worth of work because I was trying to hook up a friend and they didn't understand the principle of business and I didn't understand the principle of business. So they thought it was normal to make somebody work 20 hours to make their $300. And I was willing to do it just to keep the customer, dude. It was ridiculous. You don't just try it once and it's, oh yeah, this worked. Or you're trying to find what's that path that's going to work. No, the path is you're going to go out there and screw up a lot of stuff, and then you're going to learn from that. You're going to learn from other people's screw ups. So you, like my mentor helps me. Like my mentor is preparing me for the day when, we grow to a certain number of employees. Right? Like I don't want to grow our business past like 12 employees and then just have other businesses that have that. But he's preparing me for the day when I have 100 businesses of 12 people. He's preparing me for stumbling blocks he ran into 20 years ago. It's like, this is how I solved that. This is how I dealt with issues of pay and rewarding people properly. I'm like, dang, that's great advice. Because that's certainly going to come into play when I have way more people than just my kind of my core team that I have right now, which is like a family. The bigger your organization gets, the less like family it becomes. Right? So, but yeah, Fatima, the cost of doing nothing always costs you more than doing it wrong and screwing it up. Because if you do it wrong and screw it up, you learn a ton about how to do it the next time. I built a whole YouTube channel, and I've done it twice now, where I've built a whole YouTube channel around a principle, and it attracted the audience I wasn't looking for. And I'm glad they came, and I'm glad they got something out of it, but it wasn't the audience I was looking for. So then I had to regroup. I had to shut the other YouTube channel down because I got tired of just getting bombarded with, no, this is not why we're here. Leave me alone. Right? This channel, it's like I just decided, listen, we're going to do our podcast and just put up podcast stuff for the 1,200 people that care. And if the channel doesn't grow anymore, that's fine. One day people will figure it out and start coming here because they get a lot out of it. But we're not going to have like this growth strategy where we're trying to figure out which content's going to help us grow the fastest. I give a crap about growing. I give a crap about talking to the right strong-minded people who want to win. You know what I mean? So, yeah, dude. Bass Shaman. Oh, long time, Bass Shaman. You're the man, Brian. Stay blessed. You too, brother. Basel. Got it. Thank you. Peyton does hair. Kelly says, I'm INFP going through a substance withdrawal and breakup, so withdrawal from that at the same time, feeling broken and hopeless. Any advice? Yes, absolutely. Find a program that helps you with substance abuse. I don't know what that looks like. Like, definitely get an individual therapist. I recommend everybody do that, regardless of whether you have issues or not. It's getting an individual therapist is probably one of the most important things that you could do. So, because you need somebody to walk through that with you. That's not something a business coach is really going to help you with. properly. I mean, they could try, but they're going to fail you because there's some disciplines that they need to have that they probably don't, that a psychotherapist will. Um, and you need to walk that through, especially because substance, like you're probably going through withdrawal symptoms, which means you're prone to be more emotional. And I'm not saying that because you're a woman, men too. You're prone to be more emotional about things than you would when you're not in withdrawal. There's a lot of things that play into that, and then you factor in there's probably some mental health um, challenges there that they can work you through. I can't stress that enough. Absolutely do that if you can. Danica says, maybe it's just fear of starting something that I end up, maybe it's just fear of starting something that I end up starting nothing. I feel like when I was younger, I was a go getter. I would try anything that I was interested in. But now I feel like I'm at a block and I feel I can't find anything that interests me to even want to start something. Okay, so that's a couple of different challenges. But let's examine what was different about you when you were young that you would try anything, and what's different about you now that you like. What's different about you now that you're so adverse to taking a risk on something new? What changed? Tell me something that changed between you being young and now. Sojourner Fathom said, I had previously thought things had to be done right the first time or there would be hell to pay. Learn from, yep, always a freaking authority figure in our youth that F's us up, guys. It just is. Unlearn that. There's no, you got to do it right. Yeah, you need to clean your room right the first time, right? Like after someone teaches you how to clean your room, you should probably do that right because you know how to do that. But you're talking about starting a business or a freelance career or just starting something that you've never done before. Like if I sat you in a plane, said, all right, man, get us to Houston. And then I'm sitting there like with my arms folded looking at you like, that's how you gonna fly this plane? That's how you fly? You better fly it right the first time or we all gonna crash. Like that would be absolutely, like everyone would look at me like that's crazy. Well, it's just as crazy to think you're going to start some career or a business venture and it's just going to be done right the first time. Guys, you're starting something that doesn't exist. There is no, this is how it's done right. You're going to learn how it's done right by going through the process. Twitter started as dispatch software. YouTube started as a dating service, right? My private coaching program started as a YouTube coaching program. And then I realized very quickly, yeah, no, this isn't scalable. It's just not, right? Um, I didn't even try to pursue YouTube consulting because I learned very quickly that very few small businesses could actually get a big enough ROI on YouTube for the amount of time and investment they'd have to put in. Now, you can go read a bunch of blogs that tell you differently. That, oh, YouTube has 7 billion people and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it does. But they're not watching your stupid ass hair salon video. Right? Now, Gary Vaynerchuk might argue, yeah, but if your hair salon made a reality TV show, yes, if your hair salon had the disposable income and time to do a reality TV show, then I would consult you to do a YouTube channel because now you're branding, not marketing to sell, right? But if you don't even have a marketing budget, you certainly don't have a budget to start branding a TV show on YouTube, right? So these are things that you learn by doing. I didn't know those things just by thinking about them. All right, let's see. Danica says, P.S. I found your YouTube a few weeks ago and stayed up till 4 a.m. watching all your INFP videos. I find them so. I'm glad you did. That's awesome. Thank you. By the way, thank you. God, anybody staying up till 4 a.m. watching me is kind of terrifying. Like, there's so many flaws in those videos. If I'm being transparent and honest with you guys, there's so many problems, and it's because I'm trying to describe something that's sometimes indescribable. I'm trying to help you all. Like the biggest point of all those INFP videos is stop judging yourself. Like if I could just sum up all those videos in one thing, stop judging yourself. Give yourself permission to feel what you feel. Practice self-care. Stop judging yourself and stop trying to use INFP as a way to figure out the earth. Like just be what you are and work on your character flaws, whatever they are, so that then you are attractive to other people, whether it be in business or in a career or in a relationship. People have kind of bought into this, Myers-Briggs is the same thing as zodiac signs, where it's like, oh, today I play the numbers 3, 11, and 7. Like people are looking for those types of answers. It's just not reality. Um, but there are tendencies that I think have been measured with people over time that you could say, yeah, a lot of INFPs that I talk to are sensitive people. Just from simple scientific observation, I can say, yeah, the majority of people, at least the majority of people I've reached out of some 20,000, there's a level of sensitivity there that's, at least in their perception, greater than an average person. So we need to give them some empathy, and they need to, like, my whole thing is give yourself some sympathy and empathy, give yourself some permission to feel and be cool, right? Stop judging yourself so hard. But it's advice I'd give anybody. It's just specifically that group is so self-judgmental. It's just like, wow, let me help these folks out. But I created so many videos trying to figure out how do I articulate. They're so bent on fitting in, and I'm like, stop trying to fit in. It's fine, just be you. All right, but I appreciate you watching it. Lori Sampson says, I'm so in. I'm going through a separation from my husband of 14 years. I'm going to need you. Okay, it retracted Fatima's message again. So, Lori, when you said you're going to need me, how may I serve you in that regard? Let's see. Did I take care of Peyton's question? Any advice? Yeah, so I took care of Peyton's question. Definitely, definitely. Let's see. Sojourner Fathom says, your Myers-Briggs understanding is way more perceptive than 95% of others on YouTube. Well, here's the deal. Here's how YouTube works. You see somebody get good at something, and then smart YouTubers try to copy it. So a lot of people tried to piggyback off of, yo, who is this weird-looking ethnic guy that keeps talking about INFPs? Right, and so everyone, a lot of people started picking, and a lot of people have started to really make a name for themselves doing it. And I got out of it because I'm like, this is going to go down a road I'm not okay with. I'm not okay with pigeonholing people into this box of INFP or INFJ or ENTJ, and then your whole world is defined by this Myers-Briggs thing that nobody can even really properly define scientifically. So I shifted gears immediately. I was like, I'll just take the hit. Like, I'll take not getting any views and move into other areas. And then the people who actually care about learning will come on the journey. Those that just want more INFP content or whatever it is can go, to some of these other places. And prayerfully, those folks help. They're not giving you fluff. Like, I hated making the videos because I used to get the questions all the time. I kind of clickbaited people into a discussion where it was, who I'm an INFP, what personality type should I date? And so I titled the video, should INFPs date fill in the blank? And then the video was like, listen, do not base your relationship life on your freaking Myers-Briggs type. It's one of the craziest things that you could do. Now, here's some correlations I can share with you about how intuitive folks can have challenges with sensors, for example, or feelers can have challenges with thinkers. Here's some challenges you're going to have just because of the way your mind works, right? We can agree to that. But I'm certainly not going to sit here and try to tell you, because people say, I'll never date another ENTJ because they're all psychopaths. And I'm like, dang, that means me, my friend Mark, like all these people that I think are awesome. like I can't help that person, right? So I got out of that business. But yeah, a lot of other people saw that YouTube is all about trends. When your motivation is I want to grow a big channel, it's this is trending. Let me talk about this. And I was like, I don't care. And it's weird because like I stopped making videos and I still get anywhere from like 400 to 1,000 subscribers every month because I'm like, nope, not doing it. Lori Sampson says confidence, goals, everything. Confidence, self-esteem issues, just everything. Cool. So for both of you, let me go to, I'll share this with you real quick, and then I got to get ready to go, guys. Can you see, you guys can see my internet screen, right? You see me scrolling around? Just chime in with a yes if you see the page that says you have a powerful purpose. Is everybody seeing that? Because if I click off the screen, it's going to show you this weird freaking house of mirrors thing that I don't want to happen. Peyton says, true that. I just found out that's what I am last night, and it made sense of a lot of things. So I watched some of your videos today, but I know that God is in control and can change my heart if he wants. Yes, Jesse Stanley says, fellow ENTJ here. I love your work, Brian. Glad to see you back, bro. Yeah, man. Thanks for coming, Jesse. Fatima says, every bit of that advice makes sense. What I like best about your advice, Brian, is that you say it is. You say it as it is, no sugarcoating. Bitter or sweet, you give an honest suggestion. Thanks for that. Yeah, I appreciate that. I'm glad somebody likes that because a lot of people don't. Baden says, and he has a lot of ways. uh, Ramakrishna says, how important is it to just stick to the skill you think you're good at? Well, it depends on the. You guys got to start thinking in terms of outcomes instead of actions. That's one of the big mind shifts that I do for people. Okay, so everyone's saying, and that's a great lead into this program right here. So let me get my chat box kind of out of the way, and then hopefully I'll still be able to see you guys here. Actually, if I shrink it this way and then scroll it out here, I'll still be able to see you guys. So that's a great lead into what's happening here on screen, right? So one of the big things I have to work with people on is changing your mind from what is the specific action I need to take, but you haven't even defined what your outcome is. It's like the war in Afghanistan, right? It's like, let's go to war. Well, wait a minute, what's the outcome? What's the thing that needs to happen before we anoint this as complete and successful? So many of you are looking for what actions do I take, but you haven't properly defined the end of the story. It's like in life, you got to write not the end of the book, but you at least need to write the end of the current chapter before you start writing, the context and the subtext around it. So you got to figure out what is the outcome you're driving for. 'Cause so for me to tell you um, that how important is it to stick to a skill you're good at, I have no idea. Like if the Lord came to you in a burning bush and says, "Yo, you're going to be a preacher tomorrow, yeah, to save the world," and your skill is plumbing, I'd say, well, you might want to look into some like theological studies. You know what I mean? It all your action has to be dependent upon the outcome that you want. So for me to tell you, yes, you need to stick to your skill, I have no idea what you want. And some of what we do in this program is helping you do that. So you can see some of our testimonials here. We actually have some more on the way. Like I said, I haven't officially launched this yet. So you're watching me build this website basically as it's being done. This part right here, if you can see my mouse, self-awareness. Guys, that is the key to everything I do. And I think I have the Sun Tzu quote in there that says, if you know your enemy, or in this case, we're not talking about war, we're talking about the problem you're trying to solve, the outcome, and you know you, which most people do not. If you figure out that first pillar with the videos that I have put together, if you don't get anything else out of the program, that is worth tens of thousands of dollars to your life. I'm obviously not going to charge somebody tens of thousands of dollars to show you how to figure this out, because I'm not going to figure it out for you. I'd take you on the journey, you figure it out. Like even the first video has a practical exercise you have to do where you fill out some stuff after you go through the video, because the first video in this program too is an updated version of the 5 pillars of self-awareness that hasn't been made available to the public, right? Guys, the self-awareness is the foundation of everything. The success, the happiness, the joy, the connection with God, all of it that you want in your life, the sense of purpose, starts by understanding you. School doesn't teach us this. And that is my primary frustration with everything that's going on, is that if like you read these ancient philosophers, and when they're talking about kids under 10 years old, they're like, don't even send them to school. Let them wrestle and do sports, because boys especially learn through contact. We become aware of ourselves and we become aware of others through, like, wrestling and grappling isn't just barbaric sport. You actually are getting information through connecting with other human beings. Right? It's like if you watch cubs with their mother, they burrow. One of my youngest sons, if you lay down on the couch with him, he'll burrow like a little cub because he gets feedback sensations from the touch. And it teaches him about intimacy and space and spatial recognition. There's things he's learning. That self-awareness is the key. Then we move, because we're not even going to talk about purpose until we get that figured out, right? Because you have no purpose if you don't know you. If you're pretending to be, like I pretended for 15 years of my life to be what my parents wanted me to be. I was playing a role because that made my parents happy. So, oh, you come on my stream, you're like, oh, I don't know what to do. Like, you dude, I've been there. I got that, right? I respect it. I empathize with it because I played that role where it's, you got to go to college and get the good job. All things that I knew by the age of 17 that I needed to work for myself, that I needed to either be a freelancer or a an entrepreneur. And it was in college. I went to college at 17. I was like, yeah, this I was like, pardon my French, this shit ain't gonna work. Like, I could see the writing on the wall. I'm not gonna go work at some software company as a code monkey. And no disrespect to people that do that. I'm a computer scientist. I am a code monkey, right? But I knew I couldn't do that for work. I don't enjoy it. I need to be a part of the process. I need to be a part of building the vision. If you don't have that self-awareness, and that's the thing that's sick about me that makes me worse, is I had the self-awareness and I was too afraid to act on it, right? So we get the self-awareness squared away, but then we get you to the purpose. Then we get you to accountability. That's where you start working through the fears and the anxieties and the, I'm afraid people are going to judge me. And you start to realize who you actually being accountable to. You. You don't need to be accountable to anybody on this earth but you and your higher power. Once you have that figured out, then you can worry about your society and your village and everything else. But if you're not accountable to you and you break promises to yourself, how do you think you're going to react with other people? Now, the way we've done accountability up to this point is with meetings with me. That's done, and that's what people pay, in some cases thousands of dollars for. But to do the cheaper version of it, you're going to get the videos of me with the other people, and then you get access to this private Facebook group where I am actually there. I do read everything everybody writes as much as I can. But my team is there all the time, right? And so there's that. And then you've got the community piece, which is also part of that Facebook group. And I yell at the people in the group all the time. Stop trying to, I know you're all introverts. God bless it. Start talking to each other, and because a lot of successful people, believe it or not, are introverted. They're not extroverts like me, right? So and I kind of believe in everybody is an extrovert. You're just on a scale of how extroverted you are. I like the big six doesn't say you're an introvert or an extrovert. You're just on a scale of extroversion, and then it measures certain topics. And we talk about that personality test in detail, right? Going beyond Myers-Briggs to a better test for understanding yourself. And you get the community, and then, you get the features or whatever. I don't need to talk about the product, but I'm walking through. Guys, if you don't have these 4 things in your life, forget about it, right? And so we built the program to address these 4 things, because what do people regret in their life? Their relationships, their education, and their career. What you spend the bulk of your life doing. Well, the reason why your relationships, career, and what was the third one? Relationships, career, and education is because you lacked self-awareness. You didn't know what you liked. Homeboy was just asking me about, should I stick with the skill I have? I have no idea. We need to help you develop some self-awareness to understand what is the outcome even, and then hold yourself accountable to going after that outcome. And by the way, if the outcome fails, we had a person in our program, and I love when this happens, when someone shows up and they think they have a dream, and she worked with me for a couple of months of me basically being on her case in almost an uncomfortable way. But I was very, she was very sensitive, so I was very gentle, but also very like, what are you going to do about it? And I pushed and pushed and pushed, and the group encouraged. I got to be kind of the bad cop, and the group was the good cop. And she came to the realization of, I'm chasing the wrong dream. And I was like, hallelujah, we got you there. Now that you know what the real dream is, right? If you're chasing some shadow career, which we talk about in the group, it's a book called Turning Pro by Stephen Pressfield. It's one of the required readings in the program. When you do that, you start to understand, oh, she had this epiphany during one of the coaching calls where she's like, this is not what I'm supposed to be doing. Oh my God, I just realized the reason why I wanted to do this is this, but what I really want is this. And I was like, hallelujah. And I said, and I'm happy for you. And no, that's going to happen to you a couple more times throughout your life. Like that's the process, guys, it's figuring it out. Stop thinking that at 23 or however old you guys are. I know some of you are a little bit older. Some of you are in your 30s. You're an old fart like me. If you think by 23 you're going to have your whole life mapped out, that's insanity. And that's some BS. Parents taught you that crap. Ask your parents what their life was supposed to be. Ask any parent that's telling their kid, you need to have it figured out. Say, Dad, are you living your dream? Or dreams or don't put food on the table. Elon Musk's dreams. Snoop Dogg has dreams. I can name probably 1 million people whose dreams put food on the table. Why are they any different than me? Oh, because they just chose to be different. Right? So if you think you're supposed to have it all figured out at 27 or whatever it is, that's bananas. My mentor, I say this all the time, he's in his 70s, by the way, has been in business. He has been a successful entrepreneur longer than I've been alive. He just closed his business last year. He just shut it down, paid all his people, says, I'm done. And I asked him, I was like, I know you're not done. Like you're never done. I said, what's next? And we were on a long road trip together. He's like, I'm not sure, man. So if this 70-year-old dude is not sure what's next, he's like, I'm gonna just try a few things. Like, this dude's in his 70s trying some things. And you guys are sitting here at 23 biting your fingernails down to the blood, like, I don't know what to do with my life. Yeah, neither do the rest of us. It's called figuring it out and giving yourself permission and space to figure it out so that half your problem is you're pressuring yourself into something that doesn't exist. Right? So, anyway, I'm getting way too deep into stuff that I typically do on these coaching calls. I don't want to bore you guys with this stuff. But this is, for those of you that are saying you could use some help with this, I highly recommend. The link is up here at the top. I can also post it in the, because I'm going to get ready and bounce, guys. I got to get ready to go. I'll post it here in the chat if you want to check it out. The price is not listed here. So we have this requesting access. Once you request access, the system will send you a message. All you do is, if you're interested, you respond to that message, and then you and I will talk about, you know, prices and stuff like that. But I didn't bring you here to talk about that jazz. Brought you here to talk about the mind. So Danica Rogers says, wow, that makes so much sense. Looks like this topic really hit off with a lot of INFPs. Just out of curiosity, how many INFPs are here? Young IGG says, damn, my stepson does that too. He's only 3 and I never understood why until now. Now you know, man. See? The more we stick around each other, and these, I'm telling you guys, turn Game of Thrones off. Come watch video. And you don't have to watch mine. Watch Joe Rogan's podcast when he interviews someone that's smart. And a lot of the people he interviews are smart, man. Like real. You wouldn't think some of these cats are some deep mofos. Like, listen to Kevin Hart's interview. That's an intelligent cat, right? You don't just have to listen to my stuff, but please, in the midst of your getting entertainment, get some brain food in here. Kendria says, damn. What? Sojourner Fathom says, being highly introverted, do you have any advice to improve my content production for starting running a self-help page channel? So the first thing you need to do as a content creator, I don't care if you're highly extroverted or very low on extroversion, you need to understand what you do best, right? I'll use me as an example. The 2 things I do best is talk into a microphone and talk in front of people. That means I'm not an amazing writer. Like, I can write speeches because they're not really written in English. Like, I'm writing what I'm going to say. And I never write speeches, by the way. For me, I freestyle because I'm better at that, right? Like, I'm not a great writer, so you're not going to watch me write a million blogs, right? I'm actually not terribly good on camera. I'm not. I'm good at talking to you all because you're here and I'm talking to you. But if this was just a video that I was shooting, and maybe I'm overly critical because I think I probably come across a lot more confident than most people. I'm not. I'm uncomfortable on camera. I don't like talking. I hate reading scripts. So, like, doing a vlog for me would be hard without a person like Steven, right? And Tony, my editors, we're working to build our enterprise such that, like, we've kind of joked, but this is going to happen, where when we build our farmhouse, I'm actually going to have an office outside the house that they have access to should they want to move out to the East Coast to help me, where they can film me doing other stuff. Like, that would work as a vlog, but a vlog where I have to, hey guys, this is Brian, welcome back to the show. Just please throw me off the bridge now, right? So you need to figure out what you are actually good at. And that may take some practice. You may not know. You may need to try a few things. And I've done them all. I've written for publications. I've shot videos. I've shot video courses. But the best thing I do is talk into a microphone and talk in front of people. Public speaking and podcasting are my 2 most effective ways of communicating. And this interactive kind of video, which is more me talking to an audience than me shooting a video, right? So you got to know, I'm not so much worried about you being introverted, because you'd be shocked at how many successful actors and actresses are actually very low in extroversion. They're just good at what they do. right? So I would take the introversion out of the equation and just go find out what you like and what you're good at. Peyton says, what if you know you're chasing the wrong thing but can't figure out what the right thing is? Then, milady, you need to rewatch my 5 pillars of self-awareness so that you can figure out what the right thing is. Then you need to join the program I talked about where we do the deep dive into the 5 pillars of self-awareness so we can help you. So the videos can, you watching me coach other people through it will help you figure out, oh yeah, that's me too, or that's not me, I need to go this direction. But there's actually a formula we use to help people figure out what they're actually good at. And the kind of the part of that formula that we talk about in the videos too is sometimes you need to experiment. Sometimes you don't know until you try something that you're actually good at it. Young IGG says, I'm 24 and my mom tells me that all the time. Tells you what? What did I miss? Stephen Blanton says they chose to be different or got lucky. You can't get lucky if you don't try. Kendria says, I like this guy. Hey, I like you too. Thank you. Stephen says, I've been in the group since the beginning and it's life changing. Wow. That's, bless you, man. That's very nice to hear. Ankush says, hey, Brian, what's up, Ankush? Ankush, I think I'm saying your name right. Fatima says, Peyton, I think Brian's Good Life Playbook should address your question. It does. I mean, I wanted to give her an answer without having to pay for a program, but the program will walk you through. There's even an exercise you have to do, and there's books you have to read that help you with all of the above. Like it's basically putting a college course together that's 22 hours that walks you. It's like a 30-hour college course that says these are the things, and we get into business because I'm also coaching freelancers and entrepreneurs. So we get into what does it look like if you're a business owner or a freelancer, or even if you just want to have a career, right? Like the next video people are going to go through is called the 4 Ps: product, pricing, placement, and promotion. So it's about how do you create a product or a service and then market it and sell it properly. But what if you, as a worker, are that product, right? So we adapt it for entrepreneurs and for laborers. Lori Sampson says, thank you all. Thank you all that you do. You are awesome. You're awesome, Lori. Thank you for being here. Kendria says, LOL. Ankush says, I agree about the freestyle about speech. However, whenever I get interrupted, my thoughts go blank for a bit and I have to reassess what I was trying to say. Would you say that's a common trend for ENTJs? No, that's just being a human. And I would recommend if you're going to do a lot of public speaking, go work with Toastmasters. Because one of the things you have to get comfortable with on stage is silence. And there's times where, like, even when I'm coaching here, sometimes I'm being silent. But it's not because I'm looking for the words to say. Sometimes it is. It's because I want to let something I said land. Right? That's kind of a TV movie term. Like, let the dialogue land with the audience. Don't keep talking. Right? Like when we're on stage, we feel like if it's quiet, we're wrong. And there's been times during speeches where I've just had to stop and look at the audience, let them soak in what I just said. They have no idea why I'm pausing. They think it's part of the show. Sometimes it's because I totally forgot where I'm at. Right? So those are techniques that you learn through practice. Kendria says, I'm an INFP and I enjoy talking freely into a microphone and giving advice. Cool. Young IGG says, my mom tells me I should have everything figured out by now. Yeah, it's nonsense. Absolute nonsense, dude. Ask her, does she have it all figured out? What's her life purpose? Anytime someone, you should have it figured out. Okay, Ma, what did you have figured out? And then tell her to be real with you because she has kids. I guarantee you she had a dream that was not raising you. What was your dream before you had me, Ma? And I'm not saying you have to say that. I don't know what your relationship with your parents is. I'm kind of if someone attacks me, I'm a little bit more inclined to be like, yo, what? You really want to throw hands with me? Is that what you really want? You know who you're dealing with? Right? So, Young IGG says, silence is very powerful. I learned that working in sales. Yeah, in sales. Oh my God. I create awkward silences in sales situations where you just get a customer or a client, they just keep talking. I mean, as they talk, you're getting information that you can use. It's not to manipulate them. I mean, you've been in sales, you know. You're getting in for more information that you can use to help them. And I'll just sit there. Like I've had clients say, are you still there? Like, oh yeah, I'm just listening. Please continue. Oh, that was all I had to say. Oh, well then here's how I would approach that. Fatima says, well, that was some pause. I quickly thought to check my network. It's just techniques you learn when you've been doing it as long as I have. Ankush says for the emphasis. I see. Yeah. It's you don't want to be constantly talking because remember, the recipient of what you're saying cannot digest every word that's coming out of your mouth. Like you see how I did that kind of cadence right there? That is practiced and on purpose. Right? The and on purpose. Those are it's not I'm not doing it consciously necessarily, but I'm so used to adjusting the cadence and the tempo of my words. Sometimes I talk really fast. And in fact, I had a coach. I hire coaches too, by the way, friends. So I buy what I'm selling, right? Uh, who helped me as a public speaker. She's like, dude, you sound like a car salesman. Slow down. She wasn't even a public speaking coach. She was just professionally helping me develop, helping me work on. She was actually coaching me in some business stuff. And she was like, dude, slow down, right? Because I talk like Gary Vaynerchuk. I'm like, brrr, and then she helped me with, okay, let the moment land. Sometimes don't talk as loud. Like if I really want you all to pay attention to what I'm saying, I would probably lower my voice a little bit because now you're having to focus to hear me. And it's subconsciously communicating to you that what I'm saying is probably really important. Right? And so my facial expressions show that. It's a lot of things that I practice. Let's see. Chocolate My World says, can't find my purpose and having a lot of trouble. Your Good Life program helps with that, Brian. Whew, yes, that's what we spend 60% of the program is on helping you do that. And that's where the community and the accountability, like obviously the self-awareness piece is huge, and then the understanding the purpose piece is huge, but then the community and the accountability help because then you're with other people who are in that same struggle as you are, who are like, hey, here's what I did. I can't tell you how many times I've been on a call with my students. In fact, Steven's on here right now. Steven's come on calls and I'll be saying something and then he'll be like, yo, and here's how I handle that. And he'll talk for 10 minutes and I'll just shut up because I'm like, man, this dude's dropping science. Right. So you get a lot more out of that community piece of it too. Because you're not just, because if I'm stupid enough to make you think, like, if I'm arrogant enough to be like, this program's all about me and my awesomeness, it's not. Nothing I'm teaching you is anything I made up. The 5 pillars of self-awareness, I made it up, but I compiled a bunch of other stuff, right? Like a hexacode test. I didn't invent that. Core values, that's existed since the Bible, right? Like I'm just taking things that I know work and putting them together. But nothing I'm telling you is original. It's just things that are hidden in books like this that you don't get taught in school. And I know kind of some of the things that you really need to know, so I don't need to teach you trigonometry, unless I'm going to teach you how to be a ballistics expert, which nobody has come to my program saying, I want to be a ballistics expert. Can you help me? Because I am no longer a ballistics expert. That was a long time ago. Right? Like I'm the one guy that geometry and trigonometry I actually used it in my career. All right, let's see. We got Young IGG says, it's almost like you're a rapper, how you switch up the cadence. I actually was a rapper and a singer for quite some time, if I spelled that right. Yeah, you spelled it right. But yeah, I learned a lot of what I do in speaking as a musician and having other smarter musicians kind of coach me on, yo, dude, slow this down, speed this up, enunciate, don't be angry all the time when you rap, smile. Like, because if you look at a lot of my videos, I look angry, like, because I'm trying to convey something that's so important, and I have to remember, smile. Okay. Alyssa says, I'm in the program. It's very helpful. It's pretty helpful in asking what you need to figure out. Hey, Alyssa, good to see you. Thanks for coming out. Um, but yeah, guys, I wasn't trying to take up the last couple of minutes here talking about the program. It just so happens that it's applicable to the questions that you're asking to me. Let's see. Last question. Anybody got a last minute question? Because I got to roll. And like I said, I'm not. I'll be around because I have some topics that I do want to discuss with the audience. I didn't just want to say, "Hey, I'm leaving YouTube," and then just be gone. And then then my podcast starts showing up. I wanted to have some discussions with you all to help you understand kind of where I'm at. Like, taking a huge hiatus from everything, um, to get my health squared away. Like, I really don't do much of anything. Like, my team runs the social media stuff. I really like I said, I have an appointment today, to really continue to help me make progress and get well, physically and mentally and emotionally and stuff. Um, but I wanted to have some discussions with you. It was the weekend. I had some downtime. Actually, I have a lot of downtime thanks to my doctors. But I wanted to take some time just to not just leave the audience hanging like, what in the world? And so I've had some topics that have been on my mind that wouldn't work as a fit. Like, I couldn't have shot this as a 10-minute video and made the point and made it something that people wouldn't be like, what the hell is he talking about? It needed to be a discussion, right? And I've got some other topics. I may even come back a little bit later tonight once I, finish with my doctors and spend some time with my kids. Uh, I may come back later tonight. I'm actually hoping it'll rain. So, I was outside putting up my. We've got some like spring cleaning stuff we need to do. So I was putting up my tarp, my tents, in case it rains. I'm hoping it does rain because the bag with the tents was filled with ants. So I'm like, as I'm putting up the tent, ants are raining down all over my arms and shoulders. So if you're scared of bugs, it would have been terrifying. I'm not. Bugs don't really bother me, but it's hilarious. Let's see. Uh, Tanaka Rogers says, "Thank you so much for your time." Thank you, Tanaka. Thanks for coming out. Ankush says, "As a fellow ENTJ, this question comes from another ENTJ to you. Are you content with, I guess, with what you have, or do you want more?" Let me give you a piece of advice. Always be content. Always be content. Never be satisfied. Okay? Understand the distinction between those two things. Always be content, but never be satisfied. If you understand those two opposing ideas, you will always find a middle ground of happiness and joy, right? Because you'll have the drive you need to keep going, but you won't be lamenting that you're not somewhere yet, right? All right. And that goes for anybody. It has nothing to do with you being an ENTJ. That's life for anyone. Peyton Does Hair says, "Do you believe in soulmates?" I shot a video about that. Um, Here's the deal. It's a really hard question to answer because, one, I don't know how you define soulmates. So let's assume you mean, do I believe that God fashioned one woman out of 8 billion people for me? Possibly. I mean, the answer is I don't know, but I think it would be kind of ludicrous. Like, my wife, first of all, let's put it in perspective. My wife, wish I had my phone, I'd show it to you, is an amazing, amazing human soul, right? Like, I married well above my pay grade in a lot of areas of my life, right? But there's areas where I help her too. My wife is amazing, and I don't think, honestly, I can honestly say without her in my life for the years we've been married, I wouldn't be alive. Whether it was I would have probably got killed in combat or died after the fact, because of the things she's helped me through, some of the darkness she's helped me through. Do I think she's a type of soulmate for me? Certainly, right? Like, I do believe in God. I believe in the grace of God and people meeting up. I don't believe, however, that out of 8 billion people on the planet, there's not another woman like her. Right? Like, there's just no other woman. Now, certainly there's no woman who's exactly like her, but a woman that could have played the same role in my life, I'm sure there's somebody else out there that could. And same goes with her, with me for her. I'm sure there's another man out there who could have been as good for her, as I've been. So the reason why I kind of share that as a dichotomy is, if we get into this, there's absolutely this one soulmate for me. We kind of box ourselves into, trying to latch on to a person that maybe is not right for us, or, maybe we got it wrong, or there's this person doesn't have this exact perfect thing. Like, I'll be honest with you, like, there were things about my wife, there's things about me. My wife was attracted physically to a very different type of looking person. Right? Not to say that I'm not absolutely a sex machine, but she was attracted to Morris Chestnut, for example, which, by the way, I did I did some work with him back in the day, and he is absolutely as sexy as advertised. He's one of those rare Hollywood people that's just as handsome in real life. I'm standing next to him like, this mother is handsome. God bless this guy. I'm gonna give this dude a hug at the end of this job, and hope he doesn't think I'm trying to come on to him because we're both married. But so does that mean she checks me off the soulmate list because I don't look like Morris Chestnut? Like that's ridiculous. Um, but it also means like if I was with somebody and it just didn't work out and I thought that was the soulmate, now I'm not crushed like, oh my God, there's no one else out there for me. It's just I just think math would argue with the idea of there's absolutely one human soul on this planet that's just for you. I think God kind of leaves those decisions up to us and then he blesses the decision. Now, I imagine God's hope is that you're going to make a decent decision, right? You're not going to marry an axe murderer or, some type of horrible person, right? So it's not really a direct answer, but I don't have one, unfortunately. All right, Lori Sampson says, "Take care of yourself. Thanks again. You're quite insightful, man. Thanks for that distinction." Yeah, no worries. I got to bounce, y'all. Thanks everybody for coming out. Special shout out to Alyssa, to Steven, and Raven, who I've not seen in a long time. Special shout out to all of you here, to Lori Ankush, Peyton Does Hair, Danica, Young IGG, Chocolate My World, Fatima. Let's see, who else did I miss? Kendria. Let me shouts out to, who else is here? Sojourner Fathom. We got Basel, Gene Lee, who I didn't shout out earlier. What's up? Ramakrishna. Thank you. Thank you, Fatima. Jesse Stanley, thanks for coming out. Thanks to, let's see, I think I got everybody. Base Shaman for coming out. Thanks to Istalk for coming out. Haven't seen you in a while. Haven't seen you at a coaching show in a while either, man. You should come out and join us. Octung for coming out. I don't know how to pronounce that properly, but I know how to say attention because that's what it means. Remove, thanks for coming out. And Melanie, who I've not seen in forever, but I have been keeping up with her on Twitter, so I'm not completely separated from her. I'm glad to see she's still killing it. Jonas98, Nigel Murillo. God bless all you guys. Thank you so much for coming out. I love you dearly. Let's plan to hook up again sometime tonight, maybe somewhere around 8 p.m. We'll have I'll think of another topic to discuss, something that'll help you guys out, be helpful to you. Or you can also email me. If you are on this web page and hit request access now, it's going to send you an email from me. You can respond to that email if you want to tell me, like if you're interested in this program by all means, but if you also want to just hit me up, say, hey, I'd like you to talk about this, you can do that too. And then I think after that 8 o'clock show, I'll probably be on Twitch playing some more Horizon Zero Dawn because that game's dope. Anyway, I've got to run, friends. I don't want to be late for my appointment. I love you all dearly. Always, always remember that we are stronger than I am. Looking for the thing to turn this off. Here we go. Waiting for it to load. I was trying to do my closing there, and I totally butchered it. Anyway, friends, remember always that we are stronger than I. Love you much, and I'll see you later. Peace.